As part of our climate transition plan, in development we're heavily focused on the embodied carbon it takes to build the new homes that we deliver. Embodied carbon is the carbon that is in the building materials that we use in our projects. Around about 30% of the emissions of the group is currently in embodied carbon, so we need to drastically cut that on our 2050 transition plan. Part of this will be dependent upon the supply chain, but a lot of it is dependent upon the materials we decide to use in our new homes. And as we scale up development and the country scales up its development of affordable housing, we need to be very mindful of the impact that we create.
We're looking to minimise our embodied carbon through improved design, product selection and minimising our waste on site. And minimising our waste on site isn't just something we look to the contractors to do, it's also something we're thinking about at the front end through the design process. For example, how can we select products that meet our standard room dimensions so we don't have offcuts and wastage through that process. We're working with the Future Homes Hub and UK Green Building Council, as well as with some of our Williams Sutton Prize winners such as Bell Phillips, to look at how we deliver low carbon, affordable and social homes. We're also working with supply chain and industry partners to try and get a clear framework around embodied carbon targets to make sure we're driving consistency around how we design and eventually build our buildings to reduce embodied carbon. So as a business we have our 2050 standards, which is about how we reduce our carbon between now and 2050. Supposed to break that down, we also have our 2030 standard, which is the more immediate targets that we're setting now for carbon. It also covers other sustainability initiatives from environmental and social impact bits. But from a carbon point of view, it gives our team clear direction now about what we need to be designing in and what targets we need to meet between now and 2028, 2030, so we can design it in.
We've modelled our emissions based on the schemes within our 10-year development pipeline. After that, our modelling assumes a steady 3,200 new homes developed per year. We've been steadily improving the accuracy in quantifying the embodied carbon of our developments, benchmarking performance of our houses and apartments. Scenario 1 assumes no reduction in our embodied emissions per metre squared of development. Scenario 2 assumes we meet our 2030 minimum standards for embodied emissions, but don't decarbonise any further. Scenario 3 assumes we again meet our 2030 minimum standards and continue to decarbonise at a consistent rate. The black dotted line aligns with the targets laid out in the new UK Net Zero Carbon Building Standard. We aspire to reach this level of reductions and will continue to refine our modelling and targets as the industry develops.
The emissions coming from the embodied carbon of materials in new developments is a really tough area of our footprint to tackle, and that's because we're reliant on buying those materials from our supply chain and those partners decarbonising on the road to net zero with us. We need to innovate and deliver new schemes with partners and new materials to reduce that embodied carbon, and we know that in a lot of cases we need to decouple our emissions from that growth in housing that we need to deliver for the UK to solve the housing crisis.